Hello everyone, welcome back to High Tech Fast Study channel. In this video, we're going to learn about Class 9 Social Studies History Chapter 1, which is the French Revolution. So let's get started. Introduction. French Revolution started in the year 1789. So the French Revolution is the biggest revolution because after this revolution, the monarchy system means the king's rule, the royal family's rule system, this completed and the France became a republic country, means it became a democratic republic, right? So after this revolution only France become a democratic republic. So that is why it is one of the biggest revolution. So we Indians also should know about this French Revolution. So this French Revolution was started in the year 1789, okay, and the series of events whatever happened, this started by the middle class shaking the upper classes. So the poor people and the middle class people had no rights because of this no right system. These middle class and poor people, they fought against the upper classes for their rights. So that is why this revolution started. Okay, so the people revolted against the cruel regime of monarchy. So what is the regime? A regime means somewhat authority or government. Okay, it's some rule. Okay, ruled by someone, authority, or whether it may be government or system. Okay, a government system. So regime means a government system. So the people revolted against this cruel authority or system of monarchy. So this revolution put forward the ideas of liberty, fraternity and equality. Liberty, fraternity and equality. So these all ideas were put forward by this French Revolution. So let's get started. On the morning of 14 July 1789, the city of Paris was in a state of alarm. See, what happened was the king had commanded the troops to move into the city, and this Paris was in a state of alarm because the rumors spread that he would soon order the army to open fire upon citizens. So citizens were tensed because of this. That whether king maybe sent his army to open up the fire on us, like that, they were very tensed. So who are tensed? Citizens, by this rumor. So that is why it's in a state of alarm. City of Paris is in a state of alarm on the morning of 14 July 1789. So to avoid this, the open fire of army, some 7,000 men and women gathered in front of the town hall and decided to form a people's militia. Militia means military. So all the 7,000 men, and at that time women and children were not counted into the census. So they may be also women and also children. Okay, women and children were not counted in the census. So only men were counted in the census at that time. So that is why 7,000 men and women, many women also may be there. So they also gathered in the front of the town hall and decided to form a people's military. So they broke into a number of government buildings in search of arms, means weapons. Here arms means weapons. So why did they broke into the government buildings and searched arms? Because they are just citizens, normal people of the country. So they don't have any arms like militaries. So that is why they searched for the arms. So that's why they broke up into a number of government buildings for searching the arms, means weapons. So finally, a group of 700 people marched towards the eastern part of the city and stormed the fortress prison. So what happened? So they bomb blast. Storm means the bomb blast. Okay. So the 700 people, they marched towards the eastern part of the city of the Paris. Eastern part they traveled. The 700 people, they marched and they stormed the fortress prison. What is a fortress prison? It's a Bastille. So Bastille means here big jail or prison. So the fortress prison was a big jail or prison. So where they hoped to find hoarded ammunition. So for the hoarded ammunition only, all the 700 people, they stormed the fortress prison, means the Bastille. Okay. So in the armed fight that followed, the commander of the Bastille was killed and the prisoners released though they were only 7 of them. So what is the result of this armed fight? First of all, the result was the commander of the Bastille was killed. Whoever the commander will be there for the Bastille, for the fortress prison, he was killed by the people. And also the prisoners released. Only 7 were there, but still at least 7 were released because of this armed fight. So yet the Bastille was hated by all because it stood for the despotic power of the king, means bad power, whatever cruel regime of the king, cruel regime power of the king was there. So this stood by the Bastille. So that is why all the people hated it. Still it was stormed also, many people were still hating it because of the despotic power of the king. It stood for the despotic power of the king. And the fortress was demolished and its stone fragments were sold in the markets to all those who wished to keep a souvenir of its destruction. So this fortress was demolished, means it's destructed, and it broke out. And these all fragments, whatever broke out fragments, small pieces are there. So those were sold in the markets to all those who wish to keep a souvenir of its destruction. Souvenir means reminder or memory. Okay, like some memory they kept it. Okay, those who so some people bought these fragments and sold in the markets, and those who wanted to keep it as a memory, they took it. Okay, they bought it. So we will know the causes of it. So the first we will see about the French society during the late 18th century. French society during the late 18th century. Here 18th century means not only all the 1800 to 1900, but it means 1700 to 1800. 18th century means 1700 to 1800. So who was the king, who is the queen, and how did this start, we will learn now. The king of France was Louis XVI. So he is of the Bourbon family, Bourbon dynasty. So he was just 20 years old, and then he married the Princess Marie Antoinette. So she is the Austrian princess. So he married in 20 years age only this princess of Austria. So her name is Marie Antoinette. So in 1774, he ascended the throne of France, who Louis XVI. He is of the Bourbon family of kings. Okay. And upon his accession, the new king found an empty treasury. So this new king, Louis XVI, he found an empty treasury. Means there was no money. There was no money in his hands when he throned. And when he became the king of the France, he found an empty treasury. Long years of war had drained the financial resources of France. So long years, war was continued by long years, and because of this, the financial resources, means the money of France was drained away. So added to this was the cost of maintaining an extravagant court at the immense place of Versailles. Versailles means it's a city in France. Okay, so also they have put some money to make the palace look beautiful. Extravagant court. So extravagant court means beautiful palace. They kept somewhat money to make the palace beauty, so that their prestige will increase among the people. So that is also another cause for the draining of the financial resources of France. And here is the Louis XVI and his wife. Who is his wife? Princess Marie Antoinette, right? So he married in 20 years. So under Louis XVI, France helped the 13 American colonies to gain their independence from the common enemy Britain. So for the France and also America, there is a common enemy. Who is that? Britain. Even for our India, there is an enemy, Britain. So that is why this Louis XVI, who is the king of the France now, he helped the 13 American colonies. So colonies means groups. Okay, whatever 13 American groups are there, they were fighting against Britain, so they were helped to gain the independence from their common enemy Britain by Louis XVI. Okay, France. Louis XVI means he's France king, right? So that is why. And this war added more than $1 billion livres to a debt that had already risen to more than 2 billion livres. So here livre is the old unit of currency in France, which is discontinued in 1794. Alright, so this this war added more than $1 billion livres. Already there was a drain out of 2 billion livres, and now again 1 billion was added to it. More than 1 billion was added because of this war. So how much drained now? So more amount was only drained. More amount of leverage means more money is only drained. More of the financial resources was drained from the France. So lenders, so what happened was lenders who gave the state credit now began to charge 10% interest on loans. So who gave no interest, now they charge 10% interest on loans. The lenders who gave the state credit. Okay, so the French government was forced to spend an increasing percentage of its budget on interest payments alone. So it had to burden. It got a burden. French government got a burden that it only has to, take up the whole burden of the interest payments. It has to pay the money of the whole interest payments alone. So to meet its regular expenses, such as the cost of maintaining an army, the court, running government offices or universities, the state was forced to increase taxes. Why was it forced? Because of the regular expenses. Like, the cost of maintaining an army is not a easy thing, right? It's a very difficult thing. So you have to give weapons for them. You have to give training for them. You have to give them separate suits, okay, separate army suits for them, and also you have to give food for them. So many expenses for the military, and also the court. They should maintain a court. For that also they have somewhat money, they have to spend some money. And also for running government offices or universities, even colleges, schools, they need to have some money. So where did they get all this money? By increasing the taxes. So the state was forced to increase taxes to meet its regular expenses. So yet even this measure would not have sufficed. So what happened was, yet this measure which is taken to increase the taxes, it was not sufficient to pay the interest payments. So what they did, the French society in the 18th century was divided into 3 estates, and only the members of the 3rd estate paid taxes. So that is why for this increase of taxes was not sufficient for paying the interest payments. This French society is divided into 3 estates in the 18th century. Only the 3rd estate pay taxes. Means the first estate and the second estate no need to pay taxes. They are privileged, but only the 3rd estate should pay taxes. So this is not right. This is a discrimination, inequality. So that is why in the introduction we have learned that the fight of the middle classes shaken the upper classes. Because of these reasons, this discrimination given to the 3rd estate people in the 18th century, this led to the French Revolution. So the society of estates was part of the feudal system that dated back to the Middle Ages. So this was feudal system. Feudal system is a feudalism. So in the feudalism we have 2 types, lord and small farmer. Lord had a lot of property or land, but the small farmer is treated as a slave. So the small farmer should give whatever he has, and he should service to the lord like a slave. So this is called feudalism. So at that time this feudal system was there. The society of estates was part of this feudal system, and this dated in the Middle Ages, okay, not modern ages or ancient ages. It was in the Middle Ages, means 18th century, okay. The term old regime is usually used to describe a society and institutions of France before 1789. So before 1789, whatever institutions are there, or societies are there, those were termed or defined as old regime, okay. So as you can see here, these are 13 American colonies. So the French helped them to gain their independence from the Britain, common enemy Britain, okay, France. So France helped these American colonies, means Louis XVI helped. And here is the 3 states. The first estate contained clergy, means church members, okay, church members and rich people, okay. And the second estate was nobility, means kings, okay, royal family, kings, queens, their children, okay, all royal family. Second estate contained. And the third estate contained some big businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers, etc., and peasants and artisans, and also small peasants, landless labor, servants. So in the third estate we have 3 positions. So these three position members also should pay taxes, okay. So all these burden, all these interest payments burden, and all these taxes burden was laid on whom now? Only the third estate people. So within the third estate, some people were rich and also some people were poor. As you can see here in the third estate, we are having big businessmen, merchants, court officials, lawyers. These are rich people. And also we are having peasants and artisans and small peasants, landless labor servants. These are poor. So the third estate contained both rich people and also the poor people. But the first estate and second estate contained only the royal people, church members who are rich. Okay. So this first estate and second estate no need to pay taxes. Only the third estate should pay taxes. Also the first estate people and second estate people, they were given privileges from their birth. As you can see here, clergy, nobles, and also the big businessman, peasants, small peasants, laborless servants. Yes. So this is about these 3 estates. So in the first estate, clergy, these contain 1% of French society. In the second estate, wealthy nobles, these contain the 2% of French society. And the third estate was everybody else, mostly peasants who are there. Okay, 90% of French society, Okay, these third estate people only, only the farmers or the peasants, these made up 97%. Actually, in the textbook it is given 90%. Okay, so 90% of population was made up of peasants. Okay, and also peasants made about 90% of the population. However, only a small number of them owned the land they cultivated. Only a small number of them means only few people in the peasants also they owned their land. How? This 60% land was owned by the nobles, the church, and the other richer members of the third estate. So the members of the first two estates, that is the clergy and the nobility, enjoyed certain privileges by birth. They had their land also, and they got many advantages by birth. Two estate people means clergy and the nobility. So the most important of these was exemption from paying taxes to the state. So the most advantageous privilege was that they have an exemption from paying taxes to the state, means they don't need to pay any taxes, the clergy and the nobility. So the nobles further enjoyed feudal privileges, means what? The peasants, small farmers, they are treated as slaves, so they should work for these nobles and clergy people. So they should treat as nobles. Nobles means kings. So they should treat the kings as their lords and they should do whatever work they give. So these included feudal dues, which they extracted from the peasants. So they created another one like feudal dues. So you should pay some amount. Like that they created and they extracted this amount and dues from the peasants. So the peasants were obliged, means they're forced to render services to the lord. So they should give all the services to the lord. They're forced. So what they should do? They should work in his house, means in lord's house and fields, and they should serve in the army or to participate in building roads. So all of this they should do. Many other things also they are forced to do. Who? Peasants. Peasants were forced to do for the lord. Alright, so the church too extracted its share of taxes called tithes from the peasants, and finally all members of the third estate had to pay taxes to the state. See here, also the church too extracted some taxes from the peasants called tithes. So what happened? Here the peasants, these nobles are there now, so they also extracted somewhat feudal dues from the peasants. And now church people are also extracting some taxes called tithe from peasants. So they're extracting some taxes from the third estate people, but still the third estate people only had to bore all the burden, right? So these included direct tax also called tile. So there is a direct tax called tile, and a number of indirect taxes which were levied on articles of everyday consumption like salt or tobacco. For salt or tobacco also they have levied some taxes. Okay, like that is an everyday consumption at that time for the people of France, that salt or tobacco is needed for them every day. So that is why for that also they have kept some taxes. So the burden of financing activities of the state through taxes was borne by the third estate alone. So the third estate alone bore all these taxes. The tile tax, tithe tax, and the state tax, whatever they should pay for the tax, pay the tax for the state, that is also paid for them. And also feudal taxes given by the nobles, tithe taxes given by the church, taxes, direct taxes, and also indirect taxes of salt or tobacco. All these taxes were, all this burden, everything was given to whom? Third estate people. So here, as you can see, also the livres, right? So this is the livre. It is the old unit of currency in France, discontinued again in 1794. Okay, let us learn new words. Okay, new words are livre. So it is an old unit of currency in France which discontinued again in 1794. Clergy are the group of persons invested with special functions in the church. So some group of persons who are invested with the special functions in the church members. So these come under clergy. And tithe, a tax levied by the church comprising 1/10 of the agricultural produce. So 1/10 of the agricultural produce was taken by the church. So this is called tithe. And the tile tax, this should be directly paid to the state. Okay, so these all taxes were borne by whom? Only the third estate alone. So that is for the session. It's time to recap. So what we have learned about the French Revolution. We have learned introduction. How did it happen? The Bastille, the fortress prison, was stormed out, and soon after the demolition of the Bastille, artists made prints commemorating the event also. And also we have learnt about the French society during the late 18th century. We have learnt about Louis XVI and also Marie Antoinette, who is the Austrian princess. So in 1774, Louis XVI ascended the throne of France. He is from the Bourbon family, Bourbon dynasty. Okay, so when he ascended the throne, there was not money. There was not more money. Empty treasury he found, and after that, taxes were also increased because of the, wars. Because of the two wars. First of all, it warred with Britain, and then American. It helped the American colonies to get independence from the Britain. So all these wars drained out the money, financial turmoil. It means money-related problem raised, and also the war of America with Britain led to the death of France. Okay, and also that is why the French Revolution, the France means the French society, it started interest, taking 10% interest. So the lenders, they increased 10% interest, and also everything was everything was changed, and also the three estates were formed. Only the third estate people used to pay taxes. First estate means clergy, second estate means nobility. These no need to pay taxes and they are privileged. And also certain taxes are also were collected, like tithe, indirect taxes, and also some feudal dues by nobles extracted from the peasants. So all these were given, and also tithe means church to extracted some taxes from the peasants. Okay, that's it for this session. Thank you. If you like this video, please do like it, share it with your friends and family members, and also comment your doubts and questions to me. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Thank you.